So curious to see what happens with them.
Well, our first map is beginning. Infernal Shrines here between LFM and No Sleep. And we'll see what these guys have in store for us.
All right. Well, I imagine Tassadar will probably be one of the first bans, even if the strategy for certain maps is to, we'll let Tassadar through, but we're going to take away some of the pairings. That's nice, but Tassadar actually does really well on this map alone, so he doesn't necessarily need somebody to make him feel more viable than he already is. So first ban Tassadar makes sense.
Yeah, get him out of there. Ragnaros still very prominent here on this map. Could be the ban if they're afraid of letting him through. Although we started to see a lot more, iterations when it comes to the ban in this slot. Even on this map, when you've got so many options available. What did we see yesterday? The first game we saw was the Sonya Vala Tassadar start of the draft.
That was scary. That was dominant, too. I mean, once you lock in those three, you're like, I really don't care. And then they put Johanna behind it, and I was like, all right, this is a real deal. Like, that was one of the best drafts. And the new Sonya is good, and I think the Tassadar there is just such a huge help.
They give this a lot of thought, though. What will they end up banning? Zarya. All right, shield meta.
There's always Medivh. All right, first pick Varian. No Malf. So Malf will most likely be in this rotation for LFM. But what do they pair it with at this point? Do they just go standard Malf ETC? They know they have a really good combo set up. They know they have one of the best warriors, one of the best supports, and then build around that. I mean, Malf seems like a definite. But Varian was... Okay, so we didn't get to see No Sleep yesterday, but we saw Karazim come out in some comps as well.
But would we see that right out of the gates? It's possible. The Varian pick has really risen to that early spot. I like it because, yes, Varian is very powerful with level 10. As long as you have a strong 1 through 10 with the rest of your picks, it's just, it feels so difficult when you give up things like ETC Malfurion in the second slot. What was the stat? A second pick has a 60% win rate or something. Dreadnought tweeted it out.
It's pretty high.
We're gonna go for Tychus and Malf. Just thinking warriors are a non-issue since there are so many.
Yeah, this does allow the Varian Ragnaros combo. Ragnaros, I think, does well on this map. He does really well when he pairs with Varian. I'm not exactly sure how I'm completely sold on the performances we've seen so far in terms of that combo. We even saw, was it 1 or 2 games last night? I think it was at least 2 games we saw Varian ETC, like in the same group.
And I kind of like that. It might seem like overkill, but it just gives you so much commanding options for your team. And what was it, Kael'thas that we saw ended up being paired with that? Like, as far as ranged assassins go, KT might not be like the cream of the crop right now, but when you have that much CC, the follow-up with the gravity lapse, and of course the AoE he provides on a map like this, totally a viable option.
Yeah, it was performed actually really well last night. The amount of times that we saw the charge from Varian into the power slide from ETC was really awesome, but they're opting to go with a Gul'dan Ariel. Is that okay? So no Rhaegar. They're planning on Gul'dan to feed all that hope to Ariel. A little bit high on the rotation, but definitely very much viable on this map.
Yeah, I mean, Gul'Daniel it's a classic. I'm very curious to see them grab it this quickly, right? With all the options that are still on the table, it's not bad. It's stylistically, something they're going to be happy with. We'll see. Vala ban makes sense.
Yeah, Vala obviously, is one of the more consistent ones for Ariel. You get that consistent damage. Gul'dan technically gets the consistent damage around the shrines just because there's always going to be something to hit. And we've been seeing a little bit of a shift. We see a lot of echoed corruption in the Pro Division, but you even noticed in a game this past weekend, I think it was 2 games, that especially in Infernal Shrines, they went the Q build at level 1 for Gul'dan, which increases the size of your Fell Flame. So it can really work well with Ariel if you're hitting more, thus doing more damage, thus giving more hope. You lose a little bit more of the quote-unquote burst potential, even though it is a dot. The Echoed Corruption, I think, does kind of fit into that, oh no, like I have a lot of damage on me, this is bad moment, but we'll see.
Well, they're going to opt for that Tyrael ban, looking for just meta warriors, essentially. Like, yeah, ETC is still a great pick here. Seems very likely, but maybe that's what they want. They know how to play against ETC. They're comfortable with it.
Handlebars played Diablo on this map last night, by the way.
That's true.
I think it was this map. Here's one of the scary prospects. Okay, so Varian's level 7 talent. Each auto attack that you have lowers his parry, and Tychus has super fast auto attacks. So it makes it really scary with that level 7 talent from Varian. So that helps him out a ton. So then you run into things like Diablo, and you have the shrine control, and there's different structures built around that, and obviously it's different for each different one. But ETC was the pickup, but the devastating charge talent at 13 for Diablo is super scary for Varian, but we're not going to see that.
Look at the composition on the side of LFM. Like, as far as the, current meta and like just the power picks, Melee Bruiser, Ragnaros arguably #1, ETC arguably the top tank in the game, Malfurion arguably the best support in the game. Like, just on paper, this comp is pretty darn scary.
My favorite part about ETC and Varian, in the pro division in North America, they have the 2 lowest win rates for warriors. Like, it's scary to think that, right? I mean, you got to think that both teams are generally going to have one or the other, and they have extremely high involvement rate,
right?
And they get picked a lot, so it's always going to be up in the air. That should normally fall closer to 50%, but Sonya going to be the pickup.
Wow.
There's the shield.
They're doing it. So, we saw this with the Johanna. Obviously, the blind and everything works very well. This is just going to be a very hard composition to kill. Everything about this, they have the options. Gul'dan, A, how do they pressure him? And B, if they can't pressure him, he's just going to be pumping out insane damage, providing unlimited healing from Ariel.
Yeah, I think one of the scary things is that you now run into the prospect. I mean, Leyline should be the likely choice. We saw the polybomb last night, but Gul'dan's Horrify is really going to be the biggest threat towards a Mosh Interrupt. So there's one way to deal with some spell damage, and Medivh and Gul'dan definitely deal a lot of it.
Yeah, I can dig the Anub pick a lot. This is definitely a pretty front line heavy composition with the ETC, Ragnaros, and Anub Barak. Their poke is not nearly as scary. I mean, you do have the Shifting Meteor and the grenade from Tychus and the Moonfire just to try to get some of those last hits. But I feel like when it comes to just overall control and potential for getting those last hits, definitely in favor of No Sleep here.
Yeah, Gul'dan and Sonya, they don't mess around when they're killing the skeletal defenders. I think the only thing that you have to try and do is, if you are Tychus, you really need to have good placement with your grenade. You need to have it well timed. Tychus grenade, if things are grouped up, it actually snipes fairly significant amount of skeletal defenders. But I'm with you. Like there's kill potential on those is a little bit less. Their steal potential could be there though.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see if they can find those W's. Again, Varian is a hero that doesn't have the most commanding early game. He really becomes that big threat at level 10 when you lock in that heroic pick. But the rest of the composition definitely does kind of round it out here for them. Any weird picks at level 1, it is going to be the War Paint here. We do see Shot of Fury from some Sonyas. Actually see a lot of different level 1 talents for Sonya as a hero in general. Echoed Corruption.
Portal Mastery. Portal Mastery. Nobody uses that.
It's pretty uncommon, yeah. I can dig it, though.
The duration, especially when you go the level 13 talent to reduce the portal cooldown, you basically have, I don't want to say perma portals, but you have obviously a pretty significant amount of portal control that you have there. So manually placing it. Obviously, you can create a little bit more, but not something we always see.
Nice little collapse attempt there towards Lyric. Not going to end up being fruitful. Sonya is alone in the top lane and will be getting lots of so down.
We are going to see a 4-man rotation from the side of LFM. Probably be, let's see, yeah, especially with Prog Rock being picked up, or excuse me, Guitar Hero. Wait a minute, that's not, excuse me, Guitar Hero. That's not Prog Rock, that is the wrong color. Guitar Hero picked up, that is not something that I'm used to seeing either. This so a few different talent choices from what we would consider the standard.
Huh. Well, we'll see how that pays off. I mean, with that big front line, he's going to want additional sustain, I guess. I don't know the last time I saw that on this map. It is... I mean, even...
I don't remember last time I saw it ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it can give you good frontline control. Obviously, Malfurion doesn't have the burst heals. You have the heal off of your E already if you're ETC, so maybe it's a little bit more supplemental to deal with that front line, be able to sustain as Sonya taking a bit of damage there.
Yeah, the enforced back just a bit, but that shrine will end up spawning at the bottommost shrine here on the map, and the rotation not going to take all that long as 4 members already present here from LFM looking to control this space. Anub doing a good job keeping Heiyun up in the top lane, and will have the earlier rotation. And they're getting that much needed early start.
All right, well, the shrine is activated, level 4 picked up first by LFM, giving them proper control over here. And you can see right now, No Sleep doesn't want to engage, but they're poked right now. They're actually keeping them pretty close.
Yeah, but Heiyun is down here, and that's going to give them that window to kind of step on forward, be a bit more aggressive, get those last hits. Very even overall in the count, still 19 to 15. But Juki taking a ton of damage and does end up going down, unable to step in that portal. That is a big loss here. I don't know how this will go without him.
It's definitely going to be a lot more difficult. It's actually really close, surprisingly enough, but that is the power of Gul'dan. But we do see Molten Core has been used to try and zone him out. They could be looking for a potential follow-up, but they're taking a lot of damage pushing in here.
They are, but Heiyun has no fear. Stepping forward, nice stun from Varian to lock down the ETC, but they do end up getting the Punisher here on the side of LFM, getting those last hits. I gotta say that Molten Core, it really did end up paying off because of the AoE. They got a lot of last hits they wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with you. That AoE has definitely helped, and I think it actually like scared them and helped zone them out as well. Jake, Echoed Corruption is more than halfway done 3 minutes in the game.
That is insane.
They're just sitting there eating those corruption stacks.
Not something I would advise, but they will be able to take out that Punisher before losing too much. Dayan stepping through that portal, and we do see the fort will be held on to. Pressure put on, though, here in the bottom, and a nice 1-level lead just about on the side of LFM.
So far, good start, I think, for LFM. They've definitely managed to put the pressure on. They're controlling the lane so far. Those Sonya and Ragnaros are having a good time throwing down in the top lane. Heiyun going in. Draded taking the brunt of that, but the living Meteor, he ticked multiple times.
Yeah, he couldn't figure out the trajectory. He just kind of stood in it for a while and took a lot more damage than you'd expect. Now, Hecarim has scouted this out. Dan is well aware, so they're looking for that invade, and they're not going to risk losing this. Medivh could step down to lend a hand, but they're not willing to take the fight. They're just going to give it up.
Yeah, you know, they don't have to be terribly aggressive without that talent tier and everything. They've got good vision. They know exactly where they are, what they can do. Variant had to Hearth back there, but they're definitely giving up a little bit in terms of experience right now. It's going to have to be something that they'll need to rectify soon, but it shouldn't be a big deal. Next Shrine phase coming up soon.
Yeah, Roots do end up whipping, but 1 tower, 2 tower, level 7 locked in. It's going to end up being the second wind here. Really going for a lot of sustain. I mean, this is the Sonya build. She wants to live.
I mean, I guess, you know, again, with Ariel, you split your front and back line, and a hero like Gul'dan requires a little bit of babysitting in the sense that he has to tap, he has to take life in order to get mana. Therefore, he is always technically going to be taking damage.
That's true. Dan rotating up, thrown out. The Q just kind of scouting, trying to get eyes on. Will be rotated on. The one stun comes from an Uber Act, but the roots completely whip once more. Big DPS from Tychus. The power slide should be enough to lock him in. And they get their kill. That's rough.
I'm actually a little bit surprised we're seeing the healing talent as opposed to the one that I was referring to earlier for Varian, Live by the Sword. It increases duration of parry, plus if you take two basic attacks while you're parrying, it reduces the cooldown of your parry. You're going up against ETC, who generates attack speed, and you're going up against Tychus, who is one of the fastest auto attack heroes in the game.
2 auto, done. Like, just like that.
Like, you can't cancel it quick enough, and you're like, oh, that's a cooldown.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it pays off, but they're just going to have to give up this Punisher, unfortunately. They're looking to get a bit of split push elsewhere in this bottom lane, getting the wall. And that does help even up the experience towards level 10. Unfortunately, they will be faced against another Punisher. With Heroics, they can definitely try to keep things even, but unfortunately, they're going to be a little bit shy of those heroic talents. But without the towers here, 10's not instantly being locked in. It's very close, though.
Yeah, it'll be locked in here in a moment. They just need to make sure and bait this over, not worry about taking too much damage. Sonya's going to stay on the top lane. The fort is already gone. That was basically, you knew that was going to happen, but you have to bait this properly and not give up too much because the heroics are in. There's the jump as Odin is used. Odin actually complements this really well.
Yeah, Odin up does help quite a bit behind that, just to get a lot of free siege. I mean, look how quickly they're able to burn through the keep wall only 7 minutes into this game. Portal had to be cast there to get them out, and they kept that tower alive too, so a lot of experience missed. Leyline Seal onto 2 targets. This is good luck. Sonya is on her way down, but still a little bit behind and unable to really capitalize on this fight with level 10. Crystal Aegis is down. The mosh pit slowing them down, but Gul'dan will be the one picked up first. BBJ, one more hit from Sonya, but the knockback from the grenade is just enough to keep BBJ alive, and he's going to be able to escape with those roots.
The roots are there, but Haeyun is staying alive. That Sonya whirlwind healing is insane. Ariel trying to do her best to keep alive. Haeyun somehow 90 health. Is he going to survive? He does. This is insane how we see Sonya able to stay alive there. That was...
Oh, a dance steps to the portal. Beautiful shield coming in from Medivh. Mfu is quite low. The burrow charge going for it, trying to get him. Haeyun gets the power slide in, and you do see the first kill going in onto Tychus. Trying to turn things around. Horrify will be enough to get the kill on Ragnaros, and they're looking to keep the fight alive with the kill on Rag in the backside there. Portal goes in. Can they get the lockdown? Beautiful impale from Hecarim. He should be able to slip away.
Molten Core was attempted to be used, and Taunt went out, Horrify went out, and Ragnaros went down. I'm really surprised they were able to turn that fight. You know, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, is that when you're a Ragnaros player and you're playing against an Ariel, it's one of the easiest heroics to land. Your Sulfura Smash, and it actually landed directly and did a lot of damage there. So you got to be careful when you're in fights, and you're basically condemning somebody to death sometimes when you use Crystal Aegis.
It's scary because it's like putting that target on your back, like you mentioned. But now we do have a shrine where it's going to be fairly even. Experience is just about dead even. Both teams will have a well at their disposal for this fight as well. And, you know, now that they have their heroics for this, with Horrify up at 10 seconds, this could look like a different team with No Sleep having full power.
All right, Horrify up in a few seconds. Right around the same time, Mosh Pit is up. Handlebars lurking in the vent there. Let's see if they can land a good power slide follow-up. See if they can get a kill there. Their burst potential with Sulfura Smash is there, but not a whole lot else. We'll see if they can get the combos. Molten Core has been used. Yeah,
so spending Molten Core early does guarantee you like a lot of safe skeletal defenders. You see they're just kind of holding up in this corner. You know, Ragnaros has thrown his abilities up here, and Soy is throwing the grenades out from afar to try to steal any of them. But we have seen some really good contentions. It's still fairly even. Anyone's game for this objective. Now that Odin's been popped, the real fight will begin.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, as we'll see, but Haeyun going in deep. They're trying to get onto BBJ. The power slide, the Horrify is used as well. Leyline is now isolated. BBJ, who used Twilight Dream, but is not able to follow up Handlebars. It looks like he's going to go down.
Wow, the last hit coming in from Medivh to find the kill, but that Meteor nearly getting Juki. The Sulfura Smash crashing down, but not quite getting the kill. Soy gets the peels from Hecarim, and Hecarim gets the boost from Draded to slip on out, but oh my goodness, the Corruption almost finding the kill.
Yeah, Corruption was finished a while ago, so the Echoed Corruption is scary. The Impalers, though, are on the middle keep. Master's Touch, though, Jake, has been completed as well, so that's why we're seeing quite a bit more damage and quite a bit more poke to help secure those last few kills. They're going for a backdoor on the keep.
I think it's
top four, though.
I think it's a mistake that nobody went back to push this out. They knew they had a hero advantage, and they're going to lose a keep here. That's a big win, no matter how you look at it, and two members end up going back a little bit too late.
ETC should make it out of that. Man, I'm seeing different builds all over the place. Hunger for Power for Gul'dan at 7 is not something I've seen.
Yeah. Well, we do have to talk about the quest downs. Master's Touch is done, Echoed Corruption, Lion's Maw, and Sulfur's Hungers, but...
All right, Molten Core still 20 seconds away, so it won't be used to defend here. Sidewall is down. We'll see if they can get any type of engagement as the Roots are keeping them off, but rather the Berserker has been popped. There's the power slide in. It was interrupted. The mosh pit not going off, but down in very deep right now, Jake.
Yeah, Dan is taking a ton of damage, but it's Medivh that goes down first. Just one kill after another. The power of Cocoon denying Lyric that Horrify to save his allies, now casting it in desperation, but he'll end up going down as Twilight Dream finishes his life in Mfu all by himself. You know, they got the immediate interruption on Mosh Pit, but they
might be trying to go
for game?
I don't know about this call. You don't have enough time. Odin going to be down. This
what do they have? 2 catapults.
Polaris, are you there? Polaris?
This is definitely a gutsy
not going to be easy.
A gutsy move. Leyline Seal is 30 seconds away, so they don't have that. The taunt is being used right away onto Malfurion, trying to get that early kill to remove their sustain. Unable to finish the deal, but they do force them off the core. Dan is getting poked down. Now, the Ragnaros does a ton of damage. They're getting rid of the Molten Core at least.
They really need to walk away from this. The Roots are there, but Dan, all of a sudden, Draded is taking quite a bit of damage as Juki has been released. The portals are down. They're continuing the chase. Heyoon has almost no health, but he does not care as he goes in with the power slide. Sonya Crystal just has been used.
Watch for okay, no Sulfur Smash used. That actually could have been a kill on Heyoon if they committed to it. They put a portal down again, but again, those health bars are not that healthy. Medivh portal keeping Heyoon alive. Sulfur Smash will whiff entirely, and that's going to be Draded going down Leyline Seal on 3 targets. What's the follow-up? Horrify going to seclude ETC. They get Tychus, and that's going to be ETC going down as well. 3 kills picked up here as they looked for that core kill. Oh my, handlebars?
Wait, does he make it out? Does he make it out? Oh, the Impale!
Wow.
Stops him in their tracks. Handlebars somehow able to get away from that. We're going to see a push here on the bottom lane. This will net them a little bit of extra push power for a potential later shrine, but it's also going to give them the experience to get 16. But boy, are they taking a little bit on their way in.
Yeah, but that was so overeager from LFM. I mean, to look to end the game there, they already had the keep down, which is great, but there's so many other ways to, like, get yourself more ahead. You don't need to just try to end the game. Grab Mercenary Camps, get complete control of the lane, push in all the lanes. There's 2 forts to take down, launch your experience ahead, but now they're actually behind in XP. And yes, they have a keep down in mid, but still a very costly decision on their end.
Well, the power slide, now we see Varian on the backside, and Sulfurous Smash hits nothing as Crystal Eagles was used, but Twilight Dream, as Varian is not going to be able to walk away, and he goes down first to fall. Heyoon trying to stay alive.
Juki was not there for any of that, which is why that looked so one-sided. He went back to push out that mid lane because there were 2 catapults on the core, and now they're not going to be able to finish off Draded. They still have great potential to get this Punisher, even in a 4v5, just because of that prominence of Heyoon in the front line with Whirlwind and the fact that they do have multiple heroics on cooldown, but Sulfur Smash just came up again, and we see that full core being used.
The mosh pit's going to land onto one, but the Leyline Seal cancels that out. Oh, the mosh pit was still going. He gets stuck back in, but there's no follow-up.
Oh, no.
It's like, I think I'm good. No, wait. Oh, wait, I'm dancing again.
Okay, Gul'dan slipped up to the top lane to tap the well and get healthy to re-engage in this fight. Varian has respawned and will be able to push in with this Punisher. So although it was a pretty back-and-forth battle, the Punisher still going onto the side of No Sleep, but they have a lot of structures to go through here in the mid lane.
using Molten Core multiple times now on the Shrine phase is finally going to showcase why you don't necessarily want to do that. This is going down somewhat quickly, but the threat is very much there, especially now that you don't have that backup defense. So this is a much stronger push than you would potentially go. So it's risk versus reward, and right now they're going to lose a 4. Let's see if they can just hold on and only lose the keep wall right now.
Yeah, that should be the most they get out of this. I mean, they're not fully committing. They do have Leyline in 15 seconds. Oh my goodness, they step into the root combo. Dan taking a lot of damage. They might be able to get a new Barak. All right, they find the kill. Looked like a dicey spot, but that's still a win for them.
If that Sulfurous Smash came down a half second earlier, 3 people were standing right on top of each other in the middle of those roots. Yeah. That was a scary situation, I think, for both teams.
A little bit of a clencher.
Well, man, this game is 15 kills, but it feels like it could be 50 right now.
It's definitely been interesting. Very back and forth. Battle level lead here on the side of No Sleep. Still down that mid keep though. So it's pretty much dead even.
I'm liking the pick. Rampant Hellfire really gives Gul'dan even more threat. The portal in, yeah, they're not going to get the dismount there. Top should be cleared up.
Yep.
Like to see them grab that top right camp, prepare for the next Shrine phase, which should be any moment now. And we'll go right back at it. We'll call them out of the corner, tell them to put up their dukes and go at it again, because we know these teams are ready to throw down. They're not even going to wait for the Shrine phase. They're just going to come.
Eager for that fight. All right, Fallen Shaman Camp will be picked up safely this time around. They've got their map hacks, a.k.a. Medivh is just scouting the entire enemy team to make sure they're perfectly safe to do this. Even saying hi, Chuki. Unfortunately for them, though, it will end up being a top shrine. So the Fallen Shaman Camp that might have gotten some split push value, well, not going to happen today.
Yeah, especially considering that the first shrine in this top lane was controlled by No Sleep. Which is what I had last night, too.
No Sleep. As Jay Howe sips gingerly at his coffee.
Got it. I've already actually knocked down one full cup. I'm getting my second one after this. But 20 is close here. They've got to be very careful because the waves are pushed back, so they shouldn't get 22 natural soak. But if this does go on for a period of time where you get a pick.
All right, look at Ragnaros. They're trying to blow him up. They throw that Horrify in, but the beautiful mosh pit to slow that down. Medivh Shields and Crystal Aegis both being used, nullifying the powerful Fairy Smash, but Ragnaros ends up going down as well as Medivh. Nice Twilight Dream enabling that Medivh kill, but BBJ will lose his life to Heyun there as that slam comes down.
That's a much bigger deal for LFM. Losing their support, Medivh, you can pretty much do without at this point. So now you have to look at the fact that this top keep will go down. Level 20 will be picked up. So they're going to have to do really good to bait this over to the middle keep and try not to look for the engagement. They will have to get these cleaned up. Gul'dan is already back. But it's a very delicate thing. The problem that we've seen with LFM is that they'll fight no matter what. And right now, their primary focus needs to be on baiting that over to the middle and clearing the Punisher out as fast as you can. You still have Molten Core available, so that can be something that can keep you alive. But if you lose a keep, it's not the end of the world, but don't overcommit to a full-on fight on defense. Are they trying to go for backdoor?
I've never seen invisibility used in a pro game.
Welcome to this game, because I'm seeing talents I haven't seen forever.
Oh, Gul'dan being flanked from behind. He does have this fort to retreat to, and we do see the taunt being cast here. Attainment strike just as the cocoon comes out. Handlebars should go down here. Yes, they get the double cast there with Gul'dan and Medivh blowing up that ETC.
Might have cost them the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a 4v5. You have Molten Core. And I know this sounds crazy, but it might actually be best to let this keep go down, use Molten Core in the middle as a defense tool, and just cut your losses at this point. You don't have 20 tier. They're going to go. They're using Molten Core on the keep, but they've got to be careful.
Yeah, without 20, this could be really tough. Silvera Smash used very early, doing a good bit of damage, but unfortunately not enough for a kill. That Molt Core has expired. The Punisher still sitting at about 70% of his HP, jumping into a Nubarek, forcing that Burrow away. 26 till ETC is back on up, and it looks like they're doing enough damage to remove most of the Punisher's threat. Oh, but the blow up onto Ragnaros is just too much. Haunt makes it so scary.
Yeah. And I'd say that this is pretty much, I don't know, ETC is back up. Mosh Pit is available. They're calling GG, but I don't... Okay, yeah. Mosh Pit was interrupted just there.
Yeah.
Sonya's just...
Crystal Aegis, yeah.
right in the score.
Well played. Interesting games. A lot of weird talents. Invisibility. I mean,